Yeah, I think we should jump right into your White Sox, who came off their toughest part of their schedule of the season. I think a 14-game stretch where you guys went 7-7, a respectable 7-7. Is maybe a little disappointing. I don't know. What were you disappointed, or are you happy with the 500 record on a lot of road
Uh,
games, all over 500 teams, playoff competitors?
I'm a little disappointed. I'll tell you, I'm most disappointed in really the Toronto series because
Yeah,
they, you know, the time for excuses is over with the offense. I mean, yeah, Grandel's going to be great to have back, whether it's later today or it's sometime next week. Next week would be the latest he comes back, but when Tim Anderson takes a few days off to rest his legs in Tony's quest for the bigger picture of this thing, there's no excuse for when you have the names of Abreu, Jimenez,
yeah,
Robert, and Mancada in your lineup still to not be able to muster more than 2 runs over 2 of those losses.
yeah.
And that's a disappointment to me because that is a series when you look at that they could have swept in Toronto. That they should honestly, they should have swept in Toronto. There seems to be something with them and seeing the ball coming out of Rob Ray's hand because he's only the third pitcher in baseball history against the White Sox. Now, granted, these are all different teams, but he's had two. It's something weird, like because baseball has everything down to the tiniest minutia. Something like he's the only pitcher to strike out more than 12 White Sox batters twice in the same season.
Was he? Oh, in the same season.
Yeah. So,
He's a former Tiger. That's how I know Robbie Ray, but
yeah, I know.
he's
I
also on
mean,
my fantasy team, so it was
well,
nice
there you
that
go. There you
he had
go.
all those strikeouts against you
Con-
guys.
Congratulations for our third and fourth place finishes we'll have. And
I'm glad you brought up excuses though, because I've been hearing a lot, mainly from Chuck Garfien and his post game shit in his podcast, the White Sox Talk podcast, coming up with any excuse. But I think you guys had legit excuses for offensive production or lack thereof when you had half your roster out. But I mean,
yeah,
you've got Jimenez and Robert back. Granted, like you said, Grandal isn't back yet, but you should be able to, like exactly like you said, you should be able to. If you're a playoff contender, you should be able to weather the storm and
yeah.
produce a
I
few
mean,
more runs than
yeah.
that.
If Tim Anderson needs some days off, not because he's injured, just kind of like what happened with Rodon, because which is what we had already talked about long before they made that announcement that was probably going to happen at some point. But I mean, let him have a few days off, and he should be able to take it off with peace of mind that there's more than enough offense in the lineup to take care of business. So, like, it is what it is. You're not going to win every ball game. So going 2-2 in Toronto on the road is respectable. And I think, like you said, 7-7 with the teams they played are respectable, but there were definitely I mean, obviously Tampa Bay. I just want to talk about Tampa Bay for a second. That literally watching that Tampa Bay series reminded me of games in the Metrodome back in the day
Yeah,
with the Sox.
Sans garbage bag.
Yes, Sox being completely overmatched on how to play, poorly managed by the managerial staff on how to react to balls on the AstroTurf. They look completely unprepared for that series. There were 4 doubles that were bloop singles that bounced high off the turf after they fell in between a player. Like no one knew how to play the ball off the turf.
Yeah.
And I realized like a lot of these guys, some of these guys, it may have been their first time playing there, especially because of last season not having to go there at all.
Yeah, it's true.
But Tony La Russa's played there before for sure. He's archaic. He's like the emperor, for Christ's sake. He
He
never goes
invented
away from it.
AstroTurf.
He invented AstroTurf and the question mark, and and it's like you got to. I will definitely snub him on this one. Like and the coaching staff, you've got to have your team prepared for knowing that the ball's going to bounce high if it's a bloop. So, hey, outfielders play back a little so you can field it cleanly and get the ball in, because 4 doubles on pop flyouts, on bloops, on duck snorts are fisted balls, fisted to left and right, is not a good way to play. And that's a park you may have to play in the playoffs. So you got to get that shit figured out.
Yeah,
And
that's the
probably
key.
and probably right now, I mean, the Sox are going to have an opportunity with some teams they're playing, including today's matchup, this weekend series, to maybe make up some ground against the Rays, because the Rays obviously have to play teams in the AL East, who the Yankees are red hot right now, and you've got the Rays schedule down the stretch is probably a little bit tougher than the White Sox schedule down the stretch, so they may be able to make up some games to hopefully get home field advantage. But
that's an uphill climb right there.
It's a huge uphill climb. So you have to be prepared going back you have to be prepared when you go back in there, better prepared than they were in this last series.
It sucks that stadium exists at all, and that anyone's playing in those conditions, but those are the facts, and that you're going to have to go through there just, in the playoffs. That's what makes it so important. It's such an anomaly. Like, what other stadiums have that kind of turf like
that? That's it. They're the last one, because like Toronto has, like, I think
they've got
is it grass, or is it that newer turf?
I think they've got the field turf that's more like grass.
Yeah. So
it's not as extreme, but yeah. Fuck Tampa. Stadium is such an abomination. But
yeah, and that team has done more than enough to deserve a better stadium than that. Yeah. But anyway.